This girl was saved by her mother's instincts days after inhaling pool water. Being a parent comes with so many moments of joy. Watching your kids as they learn how to talk, walk, and play is incredible, and seeing them smiling and happy really makes your heart swell with happiness. But being a parent also means you're responsible for the lives and well-being of your children, and that's a huge responsibility. It can be awful when your kid gets sick with fever or not feeling well, but having your kid's life at stake is a parent's worst nightmare. A health scare is one of the most stressful things any parent can go through in their life, no matter what age their child is. You have to do everything you can to give them the proper care they need until they're out of harm's way. Lacey and Pat Grace, who live in Florida, went through something of the sort when their daughter's life was at risk. But what put their daughter Eliana in a life-threatening condition was nothing out of the ordinary. She simply inhaled water from a pool and seemed completely fine. But days later, an unexpected turn of events had Eliana's parents extremely concerned for her life. Keep watching to find out the details of Eliana's story and how she luckily survived thanks to her mother's intuition.
Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story.
Lacey and Pat Grace live in Bradenton, Florida with their two daughters, Eliana, who's 4 years old, and Lexi, 2. This lovely couple lived an ordinary life raising their two girls, having fun together as a family. It's not unusual for families to spend some time together in the pool during the spring and summer, especially in the sunny Florida days. But these parents never thought their fun time at the pool with their daughters would turn out the way it did. Inhaling water at the pool or in the ocean is also something that happens quite frequently, but this time it ended in a major health scare. The girls' grandparents live right down the street, so the whole family was close and could spend their leisure time together. They also have a pool, which means they could all go swimming together whenever they wanted. It was just another fun day at the pool, but things took a bad turn when they were playing together. They were playing around with foamy pool noodles when Lacey and Pat's daughter Eliana inhaled some pool water. Eliana's mother said,
"She was just playing in the pool. We were all playing. It was a bunch of us. And we were all just playing, taking the noodle and blowing water in each other's faces. And then she just happened to put her mouth on it at the same time somebody else put their mouth on the other end, and
this caused the water to shoot right down Eliana's throat, and so she inhaled a lot of pool water straight to her lungs.
It all went down. She immediately vomited, so we were thinking, okay, good, it came up."
Her daughter seemed fine afterwards and even got back in the pool, so they thought it all ended there, but it wasn't over yet. Eliana seemed to do fine and was acting normal that day and the next day as well. On the third day, she began to develop a fever. As kids get fevers all the time, Lacey didn't think much of it.
I called my husband's uncle, who is an incredible doctor in Maryland, and I said, "This is the situation. She's got fevers on and off. She's fine, kind of tired, and he said, "No, get her to the doctor tonight."
He recommended they don't take any chances and bring Eliana to the emergency care that afternoon. Listening to the doctor's advice, Lacey brought her girl to the emergency care immediately. She hoped the doctor would say she looks fine, that she just had something viral and she'd recover in a few days. But after about 10 minutes in urgent care, things seemed to be taking a bad turn. Her skin turned purple, her heart rate was through the roof, her oxygen level was dropping, Lacey recalled. She needed to take action right away. Lacey was experiencing every parent's worst nightmare.
Doctor came right in, just said, "I don't know where the nearest ER is because he's new to the area, but he said you have to get to it right away."
Many times when things don't seem to be that bad, you take your kid to the doctors just to make sure everything's fine, and it usually is. But something was very wrong with Eliana. It was a terrifying moment for the concerned parents.
I was crying, she was crying, I called my husband crying.
There was something bothering Lacey about the whole thing. She recalled reading an article about a case that happened a year earlier, and she had a pestering fear that what Lacey was going through had something to do with that very case. She recalled reading this article about a boy from Texas, 4 years old like her daughter, who had also accidentally inhaled water in his lungs while playing in the water. The case she recalled reading about was the case of a boy named Frankie.
Heartbreaking story out of Texas where a grieving family is speaking out.
Little Frankie Delgado III passed away 6 days after his family returned from a weekend trip to the Texas City Dike. His parents say the 4-year-old was briefly knocked over by a wave while playing in shallow water. He got right back up and seemed normal. But days later, this went quickly downhill.
Unfortunately, Frankie didn't survive the incident due to an incredibly rare condition called secondary drowning. Secondary drowning is a rare condition which may occur after inhaling water from the pool, lake, or ocean. The water builds up in the lungs and eventually causes difficulty in breathing as it prevents the lungs from being able to oxygenate blood. When this condition occurs, there might be symptoms like extreme fatigue, difficulty in breathing and turning purple, appearing hours and even days after inhaling water. As many parents aren't aware of this, they may not notice these signs, but thankfully, Lacey remembered seeing the article about it. Lacey brought Eliana to the hospital to receive treatment and told the doctors about the incident in the pool a few days before. The ER doctors performed a chest x-ray which showed both inflammation as well as infection, probably caused by the pool's chemicals. Lacey's suspicion was right about Lacey's case similar to Frankie's. Thankfully, doctors acted quickly and were able to treat Eliana's her life-threatening condition, but she wasn't out of the woods just yet. The doctors in the ER told Lacey she did good by bringing her into the hospital.
There was 2 doctors that told me that, thank God you brought her in, because when her oxygen level was dropping in the hospital, she was sleeping, she looked like an angel. She didn't look like she was struggling whatsoever.
This means that had Lacey stayed home, her parents might not have noticed she was deteriorating, but thought she might be simply resting. Even though Lacey had brought Eliana to the hospital in time, her condition was still looking pretty bad. She was transferred by ambulance to a bigger hospital where they could monitor her closely and make sure she recovers. She began receiving treatment in the ambulance as her heart rate was high and her oxygen levels were low. In the hospital, the doctors could explore further what was wrong and treat it as soon as possible. Eliana was diagnosed with aspiration pneumonia, chemical pneumonitis, and perihalar edema. This means she had fluids built up in her lungs. She'd also inhaled chemicals from the water in the pool, which are harmful to the lungs. She was given 2 rounds of antibiotics, but the fever hadn't gone down. She was breathing through tubes, and when the doctors tried to remove them so she could breathe on her own, her oxygen levels kept dropping. Since the couple was now facing with heavy medical expenses to treat their daughter, they needed some help. Lacey's coworkers had decided to start a fundraising campaign for Lacey on GoFundMe so people could help them deal with the financial part of treating their daughter. They managed to raise over $8,000, which helped covering those medical bills. But the most important thing was making sure their daughter would pull through and recover from her dangerous condition. The concerned mother took to Facebook to tell people about what happened to her daughter. For now, we just pray that the antibiotic takes quickly and her lungs can find a way to get rid of the pool chemicals, she wrote. We don't know how long the road will be, but I thank my lucky stars that I read that article of the little boy. I would have never taken her to urgent care without that, and God only knows how this would have ended. Lacey's post got more attention than she thought it would, receiving over 40,000 reactions and over 10,000 shares. And soon, gifts, balloons, and get well cards were flowing into the hospital for little Eliana. Lacey thanked everyone on Facebook, saying she's thankful for the prayers and grateful for all the love her daughter received, helping her through this difficult time. She's such a champ, she wrote. You've made her day so much brighter. Thankfully, Eliana managed to pull through her harrowing condition. She returned home still receiving antibiotics and was having difficulty eating. While she was very tired and still not entirely well, she was now on her way to make a full recovery, something her parents were incredibly grateful for. Things could have ended much differently for this family, and it was Lacey's instincts that ensured her daughter would receive the proper care she needed before it was too late. Lacey made sure to send out a message to other parents, telling them how important it is to take notice of your child's behavior and follow their instincts if they believe something's wrong.
If you think something is off, I encourage you to get them checked out.
Best case, they're gonna say, your kid's okay, something that'll pass. And worst case, they're gonna say, you need to get to the nearest ER immediately. Last month, Lacey made a video along with the producers of the Today Show. She made it a point to spread her daughter's story to as many people as possible to raise more awareness to the condition. Reading about Frankie's story is what saved her daughter's life, so she thought it was important that other parents were aware of it. This way, they can keep an eye for strange symptoms and seek medical advice when necessary. While the condition is rare, it could potentially save lives. Although Lacey finds it important to raise awareness to secondary drowning, she doesn't want parents to listen to her story and prevent their kids from being kids. She encourages parents to let their children play around in the pool and ocean and not let the story scare them.
You know, when she came home, she was ready to swim almost right away. So I'm not going to stop her. I'm not going to shelter her. And she's going to be brave about it. I have to be brave too.
And if her daughter was brave enough to do it, she would have to be brave enough as well not to shelter her.
If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who may find it interesting too. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.